This is my opinion about ASX Sharemarket Game. ASX Sharemarket Game is a game that gives you an opportunity to learn about how share market works. You can buy and sell shares out of 300 companies listed in ASX. They also give you options to buy and sell LICs and ETFs as well. And throughout the game, they give you $50,000 virtual cash. And it runs for 15 weeks. And you can also use the feature called stop loss to protect your portfolio value. And here is my critique. It is fine to introduce this to students or new investors as training to buy and sell shares, but it's not a great tool to teach investing, because the way I see it, the game is set up so that the player of the game likes to trade, and they'll pick stocks, ETFs or LIC that is volatile and that is likely to give them return within that 15 weeks. And that, my friend, is called stock trading and not long-term investing. At first, I was just gonna give it a pass talking about this. When I see they started to introduce this to school students, I think I have to give a balanced opinion about this, because I really don't want the school children, the school students, new investors thinking they can be rich overnight over 15 weeks, doubling or tripling $50,000 by trading stocks. Because from history, from many expert investors, it is near impossible. And even if you are succeed tripling down or doubling your virtual $50,000, you will most likely redo it again and you will most likely to fail. ASX also has an ambassador for this game, the winner of this game itself, 3 times in fact. And apparently he is a CEO of StockSpot, and he is a former member of ASIC Advisory Committee. And let's have a look some of the tips they're giving out to win the ASX share market game.
So my first tip would be do a lot of research into the different share market sectors. So the market's broken up into lots of different categories. There are utilities companies and mining and resources companies and financials. And try and pick a sector that you think is interesting, that's in the news, that might be volatile and moving around a lot.
The do your own research part is great until he starts talking about volatility. And he is encouraging the player to pick volatile stock and try to follow the news. And that sounds like a speculation to me, not a business understanding. You're not trying to understand how is this particular stock, BHP, CBA, FMG, trying to make money, and how the investor react to the earnings that this company's reported.
The tip was think about your timing. So a lot of people in the share game want to get involved straight away on day one. They buy everything and they exhaust all of their opportunity to buy if things fall. So sometimes it makes sense to sit back a little bit, wait a few days, see what's going on, and buy potentially later on in the game after prices may have fallen.
And the second tips is even worse. Thinking about timing. I'm talking about a game, so this is not financial advice. But market timing is really hard, because nowadays we have robot algorithm, a machine that can trade against you. This is well known worldwide. Instead of think about timing the market, it's better to view stock market to serve you, not to instruct. That is, you value the business first, and then you see the valuation of that business in the stock market. Is it reasonable? Is it too expensive? Is it too cheap?
My third tip would be that you do need to take a bit of risk to win the game. It's not the strategy I employ in real life. In fact, I do the opposite. But to win in 8 weeks, you need to have a lot of concentration in your portfolio, which means putting a lot of money into similar companies and not spreading across different industries.
And the last tips is the worst of all. Take some risk. In actual fact, investment involves many risks. And anyone that talking to you about investment, about how to allocate your capital, your hard-earned money, should do their due diligence to make sure you understand all the risks and the potential return that you can get. And let me assure you, investing is not easy, and stock trading is even harder because the expenses it will involve: capital gain tax, brokerage fee, and the time you spend looking at the price that will go up and down, 0.5%, 1%, 3% per day. Interestingly, this former member of ASX Advisory Committee is revered in the YouTube community as a professional. There's a video with Invest with Queenie interviewing this CEO of StockSpot that how to invest like a pro with 23 years of experience. And you give 3 tips to the new player of this game, some tips that I wouldn't recommend to my own kids. And by the way, I put up these other 2 videos to show you that this type of videos is not compliant to the law anymore, because you need license to do this kind of video, such as dividend stocks to hold forever, and also recommending what is the proportion of the ETF you should hold. That is considered as general advice, and you need financial services license to do that. Lastly, I'm not trying to fame anyone. I'm just giving out an opinion, because I don't want my kids to receive those tips. I don't want my kids to see this share market game as a gambling parlor. I want them to see, maybe let them to have the experience to see that $50,000 decline rapidly through brokerage fee, capital gain tax. And what would I do in that 15 weeks? I would spend my time in that 15 weeks reading annual report of ASX Limited since 2007 till 2021. From that, you will learn so much how ASX Limited, the security exchange, makes money. The most profitable business for ASX is derivative business. Some of it used to be from Sydney Future Exchange, acquisition that they did in 2007. Another interesting point is that ASX make the most money when the investor, the trader, are doing the most activity. And when is that happen? In the great financial event. 2008, the great financial crisis, subprime mortgage crisis. Everyone is panicking. Everyone is using all their financial instrument to protect their portfolio. Maybe a stop loss as well. And in 2008, ASX reported the highest revenue compared to the previous corresponding period of almost $1 billion. And they haven't achieved that kind of revenue 9 years later in 2017. And guess what? The recent COVID panic in March 2022 also gives so much revenue for ASX, where they almost reached a revenue of $1.1 billion. So in conclusion, this is not financial advice. In fact, I'm talking about a share market game. But it really shows that having all of this experience in financial industry doesn't make you a great investor. You may understand more about the system than the other people, but it doesn't make you a champion investor like Warren Buffett. Because to be one, it takes a unique set of skills, and more importantly, the emotional skills to make decision at the right time, and most of the time disagree with a lot of people and be on your own, believing in your investment hypothesis. And that is my unpopular opinion about ASX Share Market Game.